Hey guys, and welcome to a new video of mine. Today I want to explain the facts of the black pill, but just a small disclaimer. I just want to focus on the European black pill, and I don't want to focus too much on the black pill in the USA and sometimes the UK because those are like more general. This is like more general stuff we know from the mainstream BP, and I want to focus mainly on the countries such as the northwest of Europe. So, the first point I want to make is light passport bros still exist, and especially in Europe. Let me explain further what I mean. By the way, excuse me for this shitty PowerPoint. I just want to make a small explanation, even though it's on a budget. So, the first few places passport bros go, even though those are still European countries, are Ibiza, Mallorca, Canary Islands, or Gran Canary, and Eastern Europe. Because in the RP sphere, they still believe that you can go to Eastern Europe to find feminine women, even though you would only find transactional relationships over there. And I'll explain that further in another video, but I cannot catch too much heat in one video. And other countries, but it depends on someone's preferences. Could be the Baltic states as well. Number 2. Success on dating apps starts at high MTN. For example, we've got Bryce Hall when he was pretty popular on TikTok in 2020. He's considered a 5.5 on the True Rate Me guide. I would rate him a 5.75, not any higher than that. I mean, if you look at his under eyes, he has some kind of tear-through going on. I wouldn't say he looks worse right now since he got facial hair and a slightly shorter haircut. It fits his age since he's like 26 right now. So this is where you will start seeing success. And the HDN will see consistent success. For example, once every month, if I'm correct. And this is just talking about a plain 6 out of 10. Someone who's a 6.5 out of 10 could see results for more than twice a month, 3 times a month, and such. Number 3. The Can't Say group of people struggle massively on dating apps unless they're 7+. The group contains people we all know. I'll just use this picture because I don't want to get too much heat again in this video. And yeah, I know people personally who are like or mixed ethnic or completely ethnic, even though everybody's ethnic on this earth, but from a specific group, and they are struggling massively. And the reason why is not exactly because they have a shitty personality, even though some do, but I don't want to sound too discriminating to some people. But it's mainly because of JB we. I didn't want to say W behind those 2 letters because, don't want to get banned. I'm sorry. Number 4. The more liberal a country is, the more focus on looks. And this is something that is not talked about enough, even though we do understand that conservative countries do have more traditional values and all that stuff. I do believe that you can get away with way more things when your looks are the primary objective that are carrying you. So, for example, if you do have like a 6 out of 10 face and a 5 out of 10 body, you would get some results. But if you also got an above average body, you would be getting way more results than you think. Because how many guys are in shape nowadays? But back to the point, even in conservative countries you need to be looking good. But it will be not so fixated on looks. Yeah, number 5. Geomaxing is cope. this is like a double-edged sword, because if you are being a passport bro inside the country, in a third world country, second world country, and you're just there for a fun time, yeah, you can do that, of course. But there are older dudes, believe it or not, who are, let's say, 25 plus, and they think they're getting a wife from that country, and then they're getting screwed over by, let's say, just someone that wants to use that person for the wrong purposes. And I've explained those things: passports, to get access to a first world country, wealth and resources. It's common sense if you know, if you read all those things. But people think they can get their dream wife or feminine wife from a country unless that there's a player coming from let's say another city, another town, meeting your wife, and it's basically over for you. And yeah, I use the word player, and people are gonna say, yeah, a player is at least a chat light, but it's also someone who has decent game. If you're a guy that doesn't don't know how to talk to girls, and you are basically getting there because you don't know how to talk to girls, yeah, you shouldn't be going there in the first place. You need to be able to deal with women everywhere. Number 6, body count is somewhat cope. Okay, I would not say that you need to marry someone with the who has been on the carousel. Of course not. But I do believe if someone brings value to the table and is not acting like she wants to be a tread wife or whatever, you should take her. But it can also be for a short-term relationship, or a just a girlfriend or whatever. And with short-term, I mean like 6 months or whatever. Because when you're hooking up with someone, it can be anyone, as long as she doesn't have. I really cannot use too many words on this platform. As long as she doesn't have alien-like viruses. So what I would say is body count is not as important as age, because you could have someone who has, let's say, she is 22 to 24, and she could bring more value to the table with a higher body count than the woman who is like 26 to 27, 28, I believe, because the one who's 27, 28 with a lower body count has seen way too much and has way too many experiences besides of. And it doesn't even matter if you have a high body count at that point or a low body count, because she had all those options. Yeah, so the most important thing is if she brings value to the table. Number 7, blondes are the hardest to get. Okay, I wouldn't say that this is completely true, because I've met some blondes through dating apps and also through call approach. I would say that getting blondes through call approach is, of course, way easier. But the ones on dating apps I've met up with, they were a 5 out of 10 max. Maybe 5.25. And the brunettes or the ones with dark hair were way easier to get. Number 8. Transactional wealth is a way bigger issue in here than in the US. Yes, I'll explain that. The education level is a bit more widespread in Europe, because you've got way different levels in middle school and high school over here. And you might not believe it, because in Europe we've got, especially in countries such as the Benelux, you've got different levels in middle school and high school, and people already from those years are gonna judge you from that moment on. So when you are like a guy who is getting into high school or middle school or whatever, they're gonna judge you based on your education level. If it's like 2 levels lower, 1 level lower, and you'll have no chance. And this will continue at university or trade school. If you're in trade school, they're gonna treat you um, not as good as someone who is in uni, unless you're like a good looking guy. I wouldn't say that I'm the best looking guy, but I am slightly above average. I would give myself a 5.5 to 5.75, maybe low 6. Financial status of your parents, I think this is universal. Until you're 25, if they see that you live in a pretty big house, they would like to show up at your house more than vice versa. For example, if you visit her house more, it means there's probably more space at her place. I've experienced the opposite, so I could speak from that experience. And splitting 50-50. The thing is, splitting 50-50 is such a big thing, and you hear people talking about it a lot. But I do believe if there's like genuine desire from someone you meet, that there's not gonna be 50-50 splitting. That sometimes she's the one paying and sometimes you're the one paying. This is what I've experienced myself, and I do see people talking about it a lot online. For example, on the Instagram reels, you'll see, oh, when he splits 50-50, it's such a turn off. But I would say this is just honestly massive cope. This is only for guys who are like a case, if they're like a 5 out of 10 or maybe less, and they want to see how far it can go and if there's going to be a spark or not. Number 9. Dating apps are rigged by guys, Sims showing off the materialistic stuff. Materialistic stuff, yeah. I am convinced that because of the lack of looks someone has, or the lack of game, combination of both, that cars, watches, mansions, etc. are gonna be a massive thing in pictures. I have no idea, by the way. I did not do some research with a fake women account, and I did not check their profiles. But I do believe there are guys who are like low fours, low fives, who are putting their cars on the picture, or selfies of themselves in a car, or showing like some fancy watch, maybe even their Apple Watch, to show that they have got something at least. And this is not the main reason why dating apps are rigged, because it's always gonna be the high status guy, this the good looking guys who are like taking the top of the fruit chain. But I do believe there are guys trying to heavily compensate with their resources on dating apps, the more low IQ slash autistic people. I'm not mad at them, of course not, because I did have success on dating apps as well. I would say more sometimes positive things, sometimes negative things, but I do believe it got harder in 2025 due to the rise of Sims. And this is why I wanted to add this section to the video. Number 10. Cold approaches. Cold approach is still a taboo in some countries. Yeah, especially in the countries I've mentioned below, the Netherlands, Denmark, Sweden, and the Baltics. And I don't want to be this guy who is relying on statistics so much, because I've done cold approach myself for between 10 to 20 times. So in those 20 times I've approached people, I did have successful approaches, but I would say that they are not as used to it as they are in the USA, from what I saw from videos, of course, because I've never been there. And if you watch TikTok videos of the Baltics, or let's say Denmark or Sweden, they're trying cold approach over there, there's still like a terrified or shocked look in their eyes, which is okay because you're being approached by a strange person. But I do believe that those countries I have just mentioned are way more liberal than the USA. Yeah, to be a chat light, you need to have at least a few requirements, and I think this is like basic knowledge, if you're in the BP community for, let's say, at least 6 months to a year, if you were in a BP community a few years ago, you need to be at least, let's say, 1 year or more in the community to understand the full BP, but everything has been simplified by TikTok. So over here we've got James Franco. He's got more almond-shaped eyes. His eyebrow tilt is slightly negative. Okay, a bit more than slightly, but you get what I mean. His mid-face is compact. And he has a nice jawline for his age. Same with Patrick Bateman, Christian Bale. He has almond-shaped eyes. Bit of not the best nose tip. Also a great jawline. Low set eyebrows, even though they're not that dark, but it's okay. Because he's got the minimum base to be Chad Light. His flaws are the thin lips, chin recession. Maybe the flaw of James Franco is his forehead, but it is still okay. It's mainly the negatively tilted eyebrows and maybe the slight NCT I'm seeing over here. But further than that, it's good. So, as I just said, almond eyes, sharp jawline, not as sharp as an 8 out of 10, and compact mid-face. It's questionable because you do see some people with a like slightly longer mid-face, but it cannot be like a 1-to-1 mid-face. So, to be a HTN, high tier normie, you need to have at least a defined jawline, excellent symmetry, and great eye shape. And if you want to know where I've got this information, I want to do a shout out to the what's it called, the True Rate Me guide, because they've explained everything what you need to be at least a 5.5 out of 10 or a 6 out of 10. And I do believe that that is the only the only account on Reddit that does an explanation on what the requirements are to be a 5.5, 6, or 7 out of 10. Because there's not much of an explanation in the videos of other YouTubers what the requirements are to be a 5, 6, or a 7. Maybe behind like a paywall, but so far I'm not asking any payments on this channel. There's just one thing I would like to mention. When you're a Chad Light, I do believe you can get up to 100 girls a year if you're not forcing anything and doing things in the natural way, going to clubs, going on dating apps, and doing cold approach. If you do those things balanced, you could get it up to 100 girls a year. And if you're an HTN, I believe you can get up to 10 girls a year, maybe 20 girls a year. And then we get to MTN, combination of flaws and attractive features, e.g. 5 or 6 medium phalos and 4 good features. This is These Games, aka Ties. He's a guy from the Netherlands. He's somewhere like a 5.25 out of 10. And Unaris, the Belgian YouTuber, is more of a high MTN, at least in this picture. It's gonna be the eye area that's holding him back and his normal jawline. I'm more focusing on the eye area. The eye spacing is like slightly off. And I did not choose the best picture, I know, but you can Google him and he's a higher MTN, not a 5.8, 5.9, but I do believe he's in that 5.6, 5.75 range. It's still an average face with somewhat attractive features, his hair and skin are healthy, and he has okay eyebrows, so he doesn't have more flaws than attractive features. And I would say a mid-tier normie has the option to get believe it or not, don't be shocked. 1 girl a year, maybe 2. And a high mid-tier normie has the chance to get 3 girls a year, up to 4, let's say 4 or maybe 5. Dating apps in 2025, they're basically cooked and yeah, near impossible, as I just mentioned. When you're a 6.75 out of 10, let's say a top 5% face, you could still get chances on dating apps. I don't want to be exaggerating, I don't want to give too many false hopes, but I still believe the minimum threshold is 7 out of 10. Maybe even 7.25, if I'm correct, because a 7 out of 10 is not the top 1% yet. And the most supermodels are not on dating apps, that's what I know. Of course, there's going to be some supermodels on dating apps, but I do believe myself that the most supermodels are active in their own network. And the IQ pill is just as important as the BP itself. Because if you don't know how to think correctly, how to improve your looks, you cannot ascend the way you want to ascend. Because if you don't know what is wrong with your face, yeah, you can try everything else, but it could probably descend you maybe by 0.25, 0.5 points. So yeah, it determines your future, and I would say that it determines your career and your business. If you're focusing on an online business, as you can right now in 2025, it's easier than ever. It does the heavy lifting. I mean, you can rely on your looks, you can rely on everything that has to do with genetics, but you should also put in some efforts, and don't be an overthinker. You'll make better decisions when you're smarter. I think everybody knows this. Alright, so this was my video. I'm sorry for the crappy budget and my stuttering sometimes. I did really create this PowerPoint in, let's say, less than 3 hours. So, yeah. Like and comment if you agree with the points if you're living in Europe, and comment if you want the next video. Alright, thank you. Bye bye.